Okay. Thanks very much, guys. Thanks for talking to us. We're going to be talking about Underground and Bodyguard. I just wanted to start off, one of the things that I really liked about Underground was that it's a real return to real fighting. There's no CGI, there's no effects. It's you guys relying on your talent and your skill as filmmakers. I mean, was that important for you to be involved in something that actually showed off your talents properly?
Yeah, I think, it's great to actually not use, to me, wires and CGI. It's good to actually get natural talent and basically get in there and show them what they can do, basically. And I think on this film, everybody had a lot of heart and they wanted to do the best and get stuck in, really. So, I'm, kind of hoping that came across in the performances for the fight sequences, so definitely.
And Danny, I know you've got a history as in dance as well. I mean, is there a similarity between dance and fighting? I know that they both also had choreographed, they're very skilled.
Yeah, I mean, as far as movie making is concerned, it's definitely, choreography is very precise, and it's the same with, the fight guys. I mean, that was what feared me in good light when I did Blade, because it was very choreographed, just like all fight films. And again, there wasn't that much in the fight that I did. There wasn't much white. There wasn't any white work. All the special effects happened before the fighting actually started. So I was quite pleased with that. But choreography, whether it be dance or fighting, is the most important factor.
Yes.
Because you can get away with being a bad fighter with good choreography, but not vice versa.
Yeah.
So I was lucky. I looked better than I actually am.
Oh, really?
Because of the choreography.
Ah, okay. And can you tell us how Underground came about? How did you guys become involved in it, and what was the genesis of how did it actually get made?
I did a feature film that I produced myself, and that led me to meet Chee, the director, and basically we wanted to put something together, a fight film, give everyone an opportunity. We knew a lot of people within that kind of industry, and we just went about making it, really. And obviously I met Joey on Batman Begins.
So, you both worked on Batman Begins?
Yeah, that's how I met Joey. So,
right.
So yeah, and obviously Dan was a good friend of Chee's, so we just sort of like got together and made a film.
was the idea behind it to make something that did allow you as guys as fighters to show off your talents?
Yeah, showcase the talent, definitely.
Yeah. Well, it's in England it's a sort of faux pas usually, fight films.
You don't see very many.
No, they're made in England.
Yeah.
If they're made in England, they're usually crap. But and if you don't believe me, the only film Jackie Chan ever made in Britain was crap.
Which one was that?
Medallion.
Oh, was that made in Britain?
Ireland, was it?
Yeah.
Ah, okay.
I actually played a part in that, but I shot mine in Hong Kong.
Yeah, but the thing about it is, as you were saying earlier, every shot nearly is wire.
Wire, yeah.
And it's so ridiculously, obviously wired. I think unless you're doing a quintessential, Hong Kong
Chinese classic
movie where you accept the wire work as part of the culture and a part of the technique, of that filmmaking, of that kind of filmmaking. That Crouching Tiger was an enormous success.
Yes.
Even though the wire work was so blatantly obvious, but the reason why that was the case is, for say people like Jonathan Ross who, were into sort of Hong Kong movies, and whereas most people used to say they were crap.
Yeah.
Now everybody wants to make movies like Hong Kong movies.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's like Citizen Kane. They said when it was made, they said it was crap, and as soon as Orson Welles died, it became the best film ever made. Only because they didn't like the fact that this English guy went to Hollywood and basically did what they do better.
Yeah.
And that's had a sort of backlash. But the Hong Kong movie is now a part of the industry, full stop. You get an ordinary, Hollywood film now, and and it's got to have the flying and the wire work and all of that. And this is all stuff that they used to laugh at and you know, belittle. Whereas, you know, anyone that's been into martial arts will tell you that, you know, they couldn't get enough of that stuff. I mean, I used to go to late night movies to watch that stuff.
Oh yes.
There was one cinema in the whole of England, I think, used to show stuff.
Which one was that? The Scala?
There was Leicester Square.
Yeah.
Odeon Leicester Square, I think it was, that used to do it, and Shepherd's Bush on the green, they used to do it there. So, you know, people used to go far and wide just to watch those films.
Yeah, no, dedicated following. Yeah.
Jackie Chan's first film, I saw that in the cinema when I was like, I think I was at school.
Wow.
Yeah, Snake and Crane Ansah Shaolin.
Yeah.
That is a wicked film. That's awesome. That is an awesome film.
The Shaw Brothers still.
Do you know?
Time. Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
That anybody who watches Snake and Crane Ansah Shaolin, and doesn't want to make a fight movie isn't well.
Didn't get it. Didn't appreciate it.
Weapons, comedy, you know.
10-minute fights that never end.
Yes,
exactly.
The choreography, learning that. I mean, you know,
that's
and it took the average person, you know, 25 years to discover Jackie Chan. Whereas the people who were into that I knew about Jackie Chan when I was at school.
Yeah.
You know, I have it on VHS, and in fact, the guy that I met at the underground premiere sent me one. Who was the guy from the fan club, Jackie Chan fan club?
Yeah, Richard. Yeah.
He sent me one on DVD because I told him it was my favourite film. You know, because my VHS was like, you know, looking at it through cellophane. You know, so but you know, as you can see that the influence is there. The only problem is that in England they don't know how to make that kind of movie.
Yes.
And number two, they haven't got the budget to make that kind of movie.
Yeah, there never seems to be. That's always seems to be one of the problems with the British films. Is there seems to be a huge bit of talent, but we never seem to be able to sort of, you know, give it enough money to actually grow.
Yeah, if you want to do Pride and Prejudice version 502, you will get, you know, 40 million quid.
Yeah.
You know, but if you want to make like what quintessentially is the British action flick or the British gangster flick, i.e., you know, Lock, Stock, it only had 1.2 something million budget.
Yeah.
You know, but it proved in the marketplace that it probably, I don't know, what did it make? 50 mil?
Big film and huge videos.
100 mil? I don't know. Colossal.
Yeah.
The figures are just ridiculous on that film, aren't they?
Yeah,
but you know, then you had
all the imitations,
the swamp, the imitations. Yeah. Oh, then everybody all of a sudden, hey, it made money. Let's make one. You know. Well, that's not the issue here. We need to have you know, some sort of backing behind the filmmakers who you know, because it's all trial and error.
Well, one of the problems is, I think, with the action genre in especially this country, but also in the States, is why, as Danny was saying, any true martial arts fan, you kind of, your heart aches when you see some of these films that do get made that are action, because the only people actually have the influence to get the funding, to get the film made, is some often arty director who's like, I want to foray into kind of martial arts action. Let's get those wire guys from Hong Kong and they completely miss the point, because they're not martial artists. They don't know what's good and what's not, what's current, what's not.
Exactly.
They're doing their artistic interpretation. They think they're reinventing the wheel, so they come out with this BS that's just badly edited, badly conceived.
Bad. It's just the Medallion. I'm just so stuck on that because it was on the weekend. And you know, when Jackie Chan looks bad in a martial arts film or an action adventure film, then something's very wrong. And you know, is you know, Lee Evans as the running mate, you know, kind of thing, and you know, it is kind of like, well, how can you possibly fail?
Yes, how's that gone wrong?
You know,
exactly.
And that to me says, obviously there was a lot of money spent on the movie, you know, but that could have probably made, you know, 3 sort of British lower grade action adventure movies, you know.
I mean, just look at Old Boy. You know, again, a relatively low budget, simple concept, intelligent concept, and that it doesn't require too many locations.
Yeah.
The fight action in that, they thought, let's just do continuous take of a guy just literally fighting guys. There's loose choreography, but it's like play with it and just if you get hit, you get hit. And instantly, people are like, wow, we haven't seen action like this for ages, and it's just because you've got someone who's looking at the, you know, shortest distance between 2 points is a straight line, but most people go all the way around here to get to that point, you know, and spend all this money on CGI and visual effects and bad kind of stunt stuff when...
Because that's a stunning sequence. You're talking about the one in the corridor with the hammer. Yeah, it's just up and down and up and down. Yeah, it's brilliant.
And the first time he fights those guys, when he's like, let's see if however many years of
fake training
works. He's like, it does.
Yes.
He starts hammering them. But
so, one question. You guys are real fighters, you know, training. How do you have to change to choreograph for a film? Like, how does fighting in a film differ from your actual training, or is there no difference? It's just putting different moves together.
Okay, well, I'll pick up on this point. It's funny how you mentioned dance in the beginning. I mean, as I do a lot of choreography and stuff on projects I'm not acting in myself, projects I do act in, and the easiest way to describe choreography, you can be a fantastic fighter. You can really do damage and it's got good techniques, but an awful screen fighter, because it's like a dance in that you have to make each other look good, you know. It doesn't matter how good, if I'm fighting you, it doesn't matter how good my techniques are. If you're closing, if I'm too close to you, or you're too close to me, or you're not selling, I can do the best kick, but if I'm not kicking you for real, if you don't sell it with enough drama, it makes my techniques look weak. If I'm attacking you, imagine I'm the hero character and you're just a goon I'm meant to be fighting. The hero's meant to have colossal power, but if your reactions are really lackluster, it makes me look bad. So the onus I tell people is, your priority is to make your opponent's techniques look good, his priority is to make yours look good, then it works. So distancing, if you're going to do a nice round kick, you want that perfect distance so you get the full extension of the technique. Straight leg, if they're too close, you'll end up bunching up and losing technique. So it's very much like a dance. It's not two stones knocking against each other. It's a complementary thing where, and that's the real magic. Like on Bourne, the fight I have with Matt Damon, it's very brutal and stuff.
Yes, absolutely.
So our first instance is distancing. We've got to make each other look good, but then we've got to dress it with this absolutely savage facade. But underneath it is this real kind of harmonious understanding of each other, and that's how choreography really works. It's not let's get two great fighters and get them to stuck in, because each person then has an ego and thinks I want my moves to look better than him, and it will overall just look a bit rubbish.
I've been screen fighting for over 10 years now. I recently did a real fight, and it was really funny because I'm so used to not hitting people. Yeah, it was funny being kind of like hitting people again, going over, taking it, following things through, and I'm so used to thinking he's going to react to that.
You smack his go, sorry mate.
That's it. So that was like really strange being back into that, because I thought I used to be a competitive fighter before I went into film work, and it's just switching it back again. That was just so really strange. It was really weird.
when I was on Blade 2, you know, we were there for a week before. You know, I went away, did, you know, like 2 weeks in Tenerife, and just to really be on point, because, you know, looking at Blade 1, I thought, bloody hell, you know, this is going to be hard work. You know, shoot one fight for a week. You know, so when we actually got there and we had a week of the training, and I remember old Goss,
Luke.
Luke.
Oh yes,
You know, they were there, and Luke is not a martial artist. He will never look like a martial artist. Yet they spent like more or less most of the rehearsal time going through martial arts moves with him for his big fights with Wes. Now he'd seen the fight with the ninjas and Wes, and you know, it had got to him now where it was, you know, he was really nervous, and he didn't. I remember we was at like a drink in a bar one night, and he was you know, he was sort of looking a really bit sort of down, and he was like, you know, what am I going to do with this fight, you know? Because obviously he'd seen the ninja fight now, and he's thinking, bloody hell, you know. And he's got 2 big fights with Wes, and he just doesn't look good doing the martial arts stuff. And you know, he's literally said, you know, how do I bloody approach this thing, you know? And I said, look, you know, with your character, you know, you don't need to be doing the martial arts stuff. You know, your character is not that kind of character. And I said, you should look like you're literally having a bar fight with him, because you know, you know, he didn't know how to approach Wes to work that out. And then what you see there is he's just fighting like he's a brawler. Yeah. And that, you know, made it work for him, because it made it different to the other fights. And it made him feel comfortable that he didn't have to look like Jackie Chan.
Yes.
Whereas he'd been training for, you know, a couple of weeks, doing all the martial arts moves. As you say, he didn't have that leg extension. You know, it was all bent and it was all hunched over, and it wasn't never kind of looked right. And you know, and that's what it basically turned out to be. That you have to use whatever you know. Whatever that person looks best doing. You know, I could give him a technique that doesn't suit him, film him, and you think, is that Mark? He doesn't look very good in that. You know, and that's because you're not getting the best out of what he does. And that's the secret of the choreography, is don't try and give someone something that doesn't suit them. They might be the best fighter in the world, but a particular style might not suit them. So that's why I think it looked good on Luke. Looked great in that film, because he didn't look like a martial artist.
He looked like a fighter.
He looked like a fighter, just, you know, a brawler. And you know, that's a perfect example of, if they weren't prepared to sort of, you know, bend and let him adapt, then it would have been a shambles.
Yes. Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting.
Here's one final point that's really interesting for me, which in this day and age separates. Okay, you can have 2 types of martial arts fight. You've got the classic Shaw Brothers Chinese swordplay movies where fights go on for 10 minutes, and it's a brilliant kind of, like watching a ballet. It's a brilliantly, intricately choreographed display, but you never get any sense of danger. You don't actually feel that anyone's trying to really take the other person's head off. All the attacks, here, it's like, if Mark's there, my attacks are stopping here, the perfect range for Mark to block, so we can have this nice arm interaction. There's no shots where they're literally punching through the person's head, going right over them. So, to make a modern visceral fight where the audience gets emotionally involved, you have to... Emotional, but the acting side is really important. You have to sell that savagery. I mean, okay, when you look at a real fight, you get butterflies in your stomach watching 2 guys brawl over a 2-lane high street. You're nowhere near it, you're probably in no danger, but just seeing it, those emotions, and the people's faces become inhuman. When people are really fighting and in a rage, it's a very scary mask that kind of comes over people's faces. They're spitting and just a wild, that look when someone's literally trying to kill someone. For that moment with that blow, they're trying to inflict as much damage. There's no part of their brain that's thinking, I'll pull this a bit, maybe this may give them a blood clot in their brain. So that is the reality of real 2 men really trying to kill each other. So, and it's seldom seen in film. It's so kind of sterilised, and let's punch. The choreography's good, but there's no danger. So on Bourne, for example, I'm trying to knock his head off. So people are like, geez, when one of these people connects, it's actually going to be a milestone in the fight. In a lot of fights, people get punched in the face 10 times with little effect, so it doesn't matter. Whereas it's good. I love to have a fight where they're trying to kill each other, but when finally someone does get hit, it's drastically changed. It only needs maybe 3 clean hits for the fight to almost be over, but they're that good that they're, you know, they're. And that's, I think, capturing the real emotion of what scary fighting is like, and injecting it. So if you look at each technique, if Mark ducks it, my fist isn't going short of his face here, it's going right through his head, and at the last second it's with that kind of, you know what I mean? And it really, then you have an emotional experience, and one is just a cool circus act. It's like watching Cirque du Soleil, some of these old stylized things, or one is going to watch a live cage fight and see blood and see someone getting choked out in front of you. It's a whole different emotional experience, isn't it?
Yeah, so it is shocking. That knockout, what's his name, the blonde guy, you ever see in Cage Rage?
In Cage Rage.
What's his name? Oh man. They used it in Sucker Punch. I mean, it's one of the most frightening knockouts you've ever seen. And if you only got to see that to know that that is not a joke.
No.
You know, it is unbelievable.
Yeah.
Or when the guy's leg snaps in half.
Oh, I've seen that. That's
Have
horrible.
you seen that?
Yeah, that is.
That is, you know, and then people say, if they'd say that's not real, you know, that's when you know. Or you go there and you're like second row, first row, and you see your head touches land, and the blood in, you know, you go, you know, there's fighters that go, not me, mate.
Yeah.
You know.
Totally.
Can imagine.
Yeah, it's kind of, I had a few, when I used to compete, it used to be, it didn't used to be one build match, it used to be like elimination, so I'd have to fight one person, full contact, three 3-minute rounds, which doesn't sound a lot, but when you're fighting all day, to get to a final, to fight the main guy, it's a hell of a lot. And the amount of injuries that you pick up from that, not just physical injuries from them hitting you, but you ripping muscles, all sorts of stuff. It's a horrible, horrible feeling being put into a fight. You know, it is. It's not. But it's fun because you keep going back and doing it.
But what is it? What makes you go back and do it? Is it the enjoyment, or?
I think it's the enjoyment. You do get a buzz out of fighting, you know, in the ring, and I think, you know, you keep going back and you want more, and like this recent one, I thought I came away thinking I didn't get the result I wanted, and then I was thinking, should I have another do? You know, you think yourself, I want to go back and do it again. You know
because what you do, you see where you went wrong. It's like you see where you went wrong, and you think, right, okay, the next time I'm not going to do this, because that didn't work. And,
exactly.
And then you look at the picture. Well, where was I successful? Oh yeah, well, I was successful when I did this move or that move, and
that's it.
I should have done more of that. And you know, they can't wait to get back in and adjust.
Exactly. I came out of that ring thinking I should have done that.
See, that's why you want to go. That's why you want to go back.
Exactly.
Now, you know, especially if it was a rematch. Then you both. That's why they always get really interesting, because both people know each other then, and they know what they did that worked and what they didn't work. So that's when it really gets exciting.
Totally. And the thing is, the guy was a really nice guy, so, you know, if he would have been cocky or something or said, I probably would have had a rematch. But he was a nice guy, so it was cool, you know.
So, Mark, after Underground, you moved on again with director Chee, and you went to Hong Kong and made the film Bodyguard: New Beginning, which was, I thought was a fascinating film, and very much felt influenced by the 80s Hong Kong action films. Can you tell us how that came about? How did you come to go to Hong Kong to make a film?
Well, I kind of went to Hong Kong to do some stuff with Jackie Chan in 2002. I did 2 features over there, and I met a producer over there who both me and Chee knew. And we kind of like got together and sort of like after Underground we thought, let's take it a step further and move on to do this feature really, and it's great to work with Chee again, and as I say, we had great fun on Underground, and it was just you know, similar budget, wasn't really much like difference on the budget scale, but it was great having Hong Kong and being back in Hong Kong and meeting people that I'd not seen for years, and it was a great experience really. So it was a good one.
How did it? What was the difference between working with you know, an English crew in Underground and a Hong Kong crew? Was there a difference in techniques and just everything?
Yeah, it was just fascinating to see how everyone had their own different ways of doing things, and it was good to see the difference between, because we had a UK crew as well as a Hong Kong crew, so it was good to see the difference between both really, in a sense, and it was great to work with some of Jackie's stunt crew as well, which was.
They actually worked. They were part of your crew as well.
Yes, they were. We had Man Ching and Anthony Carpio, who've been pretty much right-hand men for Jackie Chan for the last 25 years.
So loads of experience.
Lots of experience and
fantastic.
good guys as well.
Yeah,
they're really cool.
So one start to wrap up. One of the last questions. What are you guys' plans for the future? I mean, you're going to continue in fight films, or are you going to try to develop beyond that, or where do you see yourselves going? Have you got anything lined up to work you're working on?
Well, I want to carry on producing and acting and pursuing my career. You know, looking for the next challenge really. So that's what I'm up to.
Okay, brilliant. And one final question. One of the things we like to do on our website is to talk about people's influences and their inspirations. I wonder if you would mind just talking about who's maybe been an influence on you through your lives, and maybe not in any area really. I mean, not just fighting, but whatever has been influential to you.
Well, I mean, the obvious for me that I came out of musical theatre and Sammy Davis Jr. and of course getting interested in late night martial arts movies when that was pure entertainment, not necessarily work. And obviously Bruce Lee and when I saw Snake and Crane Ansah Shaolin, that was it.
Yeah, Jackie Chan.
That was it.
Great
film. Really. You know, he wasn't famous to like, and it was just a nut. You know, who is this guy? You know, this was the new Bruce Lee kind of thing. You know. And you know, that to me was, you know, once I'd seen that movie, man, you know, James Bond just did, you know.
Well, I think it's the reality of those films. You know, again, it comes back to that. Someone that's trained for years to do something and is
phenomenal.
And you're seeing something that's very real on the screen. It's not a trick.
And you know that there's probably maybe 2 or 3 guys in the world that could do it to that level.
Yeah.
So you're watching something that you're not going to see every day. You know. And that to me was wow. You know, I'd when I got to do my first martial arts film, you know, I was just thinking along those lines. I was just thinking Snake and Crane Arts. Yeah. How would Jackie have done it? You know?
Brilliant. Yeah. Well, that's a good way of doing it because he was always relentless doing.
Well, there's a step I do with a sword, which you know, crouching down when he's doing that move. You know, ching ching, and it's pure Jackie Chan. You know,
it's great.
It's just pure Jackie Chan, and you know the old knees. Gordon Bennett. How does he do this all day? You know, when you've got to shoot it for a couple of hours, and you say, I shouldn't have done that. You know.
And Joey and Mark, anyone that's been an influence?
God, I mean, obviously,
what got you into what you're doing?
Obviously, the Jackies, Bruce Lee. I mean, Bruce Lee, not just his films, but his writing, his philosophy. He was a real philosopher, and just his wisdom for life and
spirit
and willpower, and you know, achieving your goals. I recommend anyone who hasn't read the John Little volumes of Bruce Lee's compiled writings. It's life-changing stuff. The others, even someone like Van Damme, I mean, a lot of people kind of knock him now because obviously he's kind of had a fall from grace and luckily a bit of a resurgence. But as he put it himself, he was the first person to make martial arts sexy. Yeah. And before Van Damme, guys weren't fussed about doing the splits. That was something for girls. As soon as Van Damme came out, it's all about splits.
Yeah, man,
You're not a real guy unless you can do that.
Splits.
And
the women love that.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, Arnold, any of the big action guys. I mean, Stallone, even as a filmmaker, his first script winning Oscar. Yeah. You know, and staying with that script and not selling it off without. It's these people have created a dream from nothing, and you know. Yeah,
totally. I mean, me the same, man. Jackie Chan was, when I was a kid, I wanted to, that he influenced me to want to do Kung Fu, start training Kung Fu, and then my ultimate goal was to work in films, and I'm a big Rocky fan as well. Obviously.
It's a fantasy story, isn't it, Rocky? You know, the guy that turned down $1 million and because he knew he'd never get to play the part.
Yes.
If he sold the script, he wouldn't play the part. But he wanted to play the part more than he wanted to sell the script, and that in itself deserves, you know, he deserved everything he got, which was fame, tons of money, you know, and because he had to hold out, and he made the film for the right reason, which was I want to act, and I want to act in a movie where I can, you know, tell the world that, hey, I can do this, and to do that, he turned down big money.
Brilliant.
Not many people would have turned down $1 million for a script, I tell you.
No, not at all. Well, that's great. I mean, thank you so much, guys, for taking the time to talk to us.
No
Wish you well.
Cool.
Thank you very
Thank you
much.
very much. Cheers.
Bye.
Thank you.